Hi everyone, this is Asma Khalid from CyberPanel, and in today's video we are going to be learning about how you can turn a Varnish cache into an Nginx reverse proxy and eventually speed up your site to 1000%. So without further ado, let's just jump straight to the video.
Okay guys, so the first thing that we need is basically Ubuntu server, Ubuntu 20.04 server. Now for that you need to come on to lightsail.aws.amazon.com. You need to have an account for that first of all, and once you come onto this page you need to click on create instance. From here we need to change our region and availability. I'm going to choose Singapore. From here we need a Linux machine. Scroll down. In the blueprint we need OS only, and from OS we need Ubuntu 20.04. Let's scroll down. You need to choose your package or your plan. You need to identify your instance. We'll name this Varnish. Scroll down and click on create instance. So once your instance is created, right over here, it's in pending phase. It's going to take a couple of seconds, maybe a couple of minutes, and it will turn into a running server. Right now it's pending, and it's going to take a couple of seconds or minutes, and then it will be running. Okay, so once our Varnish is in running state, let's click on this little button and go into the command line for this server. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to install Nginx. See, and once this is done, we are going to install Nginx. Okay, so once our after installation is completed, we need to start Nginx and then enable it. For that, we will use the systemctl command, and then we need systemctl enable Nginx. Okay, so now this is done. We have successfully installed Nginx on our server. Okay guys, so now that we have installed Nginx on our server, we need to configure Nginx on port 8080. Now for that, we will be using the nano command c-nginx-sites available-default. And once you enter these files, there will be written listen 80 over here and then listen 80 over here. You need to change it to 8080 as shown in this file right now. And once you're done, just save the file and get off the file. Now that we have done this, we need to test the Nginx configuration and make sure there is no error. Now for that, it's a simple test nginx-t. It is successful. We need to restart our Nginx. Once this is done, we need to test again using the netstat command. Netstat -blntq. Okay, so now you can see that it has been changed to 8080. So the Nginx web server has been installed and is now running on port 8080 as seen in this video right now. Next is we're going to install Varnish on Ubuntu. Okay, so now that we are done with that part, we are going to now install Varnish on our server. Now for that, I'm going to use the sudo apt command. Okay, so now that it is installed, we are going to start Varnish and then enable it using the systemctl command. Okay, so now that is done, by default Varnish will use port 6082 for the admin web interface and port 6081 for the public access. So now we need to make sure that certain port are basically texted by using the netstat command. We are going to just use that stat -blntu. Okay, so we can see that this is running on 6082 and the other one is on 8080 already, so we are good with that. So it's on 6082 and 6081. So now we need to configure Varnish as a reverse proxy for Nginx. Okay, so now that Varnish is installed on our server, we need as a reverse proxy for the Nginx web server, Varnish is going to be used now. So Varnish will be running on port 80 and Nginx web server is going to be running on port 8080. So we need to configure Varnish for Nginx and define the backend server. Then change the Varnish to run under HTTP port 80. So for that, first of all, we need to go into our Varnish default.vcl file. So let me just quickly go into that file. Okay, so for here, we need to make sure that our host is on 127.0.0.1 and our port is on 8080. So this one is okay. Let me just get out of this file. Now we need to check and configure the etc default Varnish file. Okay, so here I need to make sure that my daemon opt minus is this instead of 6081 it needs to be run on 80 and localhost should be 6082, so that's one is good. Okay, so change this as well. And once this is done, next what we need to do is we need to edit the Varnish service files. Again, we need to access the system library. Oh, wrong command. Let me just system D. Oh, silly mistakes. Okay, so once we are in this directory, we need to access the nano varnish dot service files. Okay, so here we need to make sure that this instead of 6081 we have 80 as we did previously, and and the local host is 6082, so that one is okay. Control 0, save, and Control X. Okay, now that we have done our configurations, we need to reload the system configuration and restart Varnish. So and we need it to restart. Oh, sorry, system CTL. Okay, so once we have that checked, now we can check the Varnish using the netstat command. So the ports have been changed here now, as you guys can see. Now that we are done with it, we can configure the UFW firewall. Okay, so Ubuntu system comes with the default human reachable firewall named UFW. So we need to install that, or sudo apt install UFW. So we're just going to wait for it to get installed. Once it is installed, we need to allow SSH, UFW allow HTTP. We need to allow it for HTTP and HTTPS. So UFW allow HTTPS. Okay, so now we need to activate and enable it to launch every time that every time at boot time. So for that we need the UFW enable. Okay, so now the UFW firewall is activated for HTTP and HTTPS and is now accessible from the outside network. Okay guys, so we have successfully installed Nginx on our server. We have configured Nginx server for port 8080. We have installed Varnish on our Ubuntu server. We have configured Varnish as a reverse proxy for Nginx, and finally we have installed UFW firewall. So that's it for today. If you still have any questions, just drop a comment in the comment section, and don't forget to like and subscribe CyberPanel.